Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Carlton Willis, and I am known as God's Grin Gal. I thought I'd bring you another session from my book, The Grin Gal's Guide to Wellbeing, because so many of us have started the new year thinking about our well-being, whether it's physical, spiritual, our emotional, mental, that inner being that we have. It all goes together. And I want to give you the tools you need, the resources to help you with that personal stewardship that goes with well-being. I've had a couple of great reports with my doctors regarding my weight loss. I've lost 70 pounds now. My A1C is doing great. We've already reduced my diabetes medicine twice, and the next one will be going off of it altogether after we try this last little taper down. And one of my blood pressure medicines we've been able to reduce as well. So all of this is working towards my better health because there's a lot of things that are not in my control. For example, right now I'm getting set up to go to a specialist because I have an enlarged spleen, which isn't good for a person who has primary immune deficiency. So we're having to get to the bottom of that, and several other complications that have happened as well. So I appreciate your prayers as always and your support. And I just want you to know that when I have a grin on my face, it's because of the joy that God gives me. It's not because everything's going 100% okay. And I think that you all will be able to relate to me, whether it's because you're having a physical trial or some other kind of trial. Just know that we can grin despite those bad things. It doesn't mean that bad things are not happening. It just means that God is with us while they're happening. And this time, this session, we're going to be talking about you need a plan. If you want to have well-being in 2023, you need to have a plan. Now, some of us are planners. I'm a planner. I used to love it when on the A team they would say, I love it when a plan comes together. And those kinds of things just get me really excited. But some of you all may not like to be planners. Maybe you resist plans. Maybe they make you feel restrained or constricted. Well, my book, The Grin Gal's Guide to Wellbeing, will help you figure out the best way to deal with these things in a way that fits with your unique personality and your needs. So it's not a one plan fits every person. It just doesn't work that way. It's not about defining what you can or can't do, what you should or shouldn't do, but finding freedom in making choices for health and for personal stewardship. It's taking care of the resources God has planted in you. So when I wrote the book, I'd lost 50 pounds. Since then, I've lost 20 more pounds. So I'm celebrating that 70-pound loss. I still have a little more to lose. So we're going to do it together, okay? And if you're watching this and you don't need to lose weight, good for you. I am really proud of you. But I'm thinking most of America could be a little healthier if they weren't carrying so much weight. I'm not saying that you have to be thin. I think that's also a misguided goal. I think we just need to be as fit and healthy as possible as we can be. The glory of this plan is that it's customized to meet your personal set of challenges and desires. So even if you want to work on well-being for your soul or your spirit, that also works really well. You get my permission to change up the plan as you find ways to improve it. So even if you set goals for January, which we all seem to do, if you get to March or April and you're finding that those goals need tweaked a little bit, don't feel like that you're a failure. Just know that you're experimenting, you're trying things out, you're learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If you spend time with God and seek his heart for your life, he will lead you to create a well-being plan for being well. It's much better to take action steps from his direction rather than merely asking him to bless our self-made plan. So the study that we're doing today, some of the Bible verses that are in this chapter in the book, it has to do with making plans. The first one is Proverbs 16:3. Commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. So what is the why of your plan? Put some thought into that. What actions do you need to commit to the Lord? And what mindset and actions will set you up for success, and which ones will sabotage your results? I tell you what, December showed me what sabotaged my results. It wasn't a total go off plan kind of disaster, but I did see where little things could creep in. So be aware of that. What is sabotaging your results? Psalm 24 says, "May he grant your desires, your heart's desires, and make all your plans succeed." If you kicked all your excuses, and we all have them, if you kicked all your excuses to the curb, what is your heart's desire for well-being and being well? Put some thought into that. How will you successfully deal with those things you just kicked to the curb so the trash collector can come by and pick them up and destroy them? We want them to go away forever. Proverbs 16:9 says, "We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps." After you tell God your desires, ask Him to show you the steps He recommends so you see His desired outcome. What ideas surface as you're brainstorming that? Put some thought into that too. Invite God to be with you as you take those steps. We are a destination people. We always have that goal in mind, but He is a journey God. He's not waiting for us to get to that ultimate goal to be pleased. He wants to hang out with us today, right in the messy middle of our journey. Proverbs 21:5 says, "Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty." So what shortcuts are you tempted to take when it comes to well-being of your body, soul, and spirit? And why won't these work for the long haul? How much time and focus will it take you to commit to good planning and hard work for well-being? Proverbs 3:5 and 6 is another passage that we think of a lot when we're thinking of our priorities. And it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take." So have you trusted the Lord for your well-being? We trust Him with so many other things, but how about trusting Him for our well-being, again, of body, soul, and spirit? What might be holding you back from complete trust? If you think about a trust fall where you're standing up and there's people behind you and you fall backwards knowing that they'll catch you. And it's kind of scary to just lean back and let them do the work. So what is keeping you from that same kind of trust, that complete trust in the Lord? What is your own understanding telling you that could derail you from this process? As it says, do not depend or lean on your own understanding. What is God's will concerning your well-being? Pray about that and ask Him to show you His will for your well-being. What path is He showing you to take? You'll know it's the one because it gives you the most passion and peace. It's something you can do for the long haul. Romans 12:1 and 2. I love this passage and I read it in several different versions, but this version says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind He will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship Him." Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Did you notice that transformation starts with the way we think, changing the way we think? That's why we need a plan when it comes to well-being. It doesn't just happen. So how can you look at your well-being plan as a living and holy sacrifice? Why does God find it acceptable? How is this a way to worship Him? How will the process transform you into a new person, body, soul, and spirit? And what will it take to view and value your plan as good and pleasing and perfect? Well, we know that it needs to be God's plan for you. He works with us on those things. We don't do it alone. I want you to be thinking about, what is your why? All of us have different hopes for well-being. To get to your best requires deliberate effort being intentional about being well rather than simply letting life happen to you. The goal for functioning at your optimal condition isn't for vainglory, but it's for God's glory. And I want to tell you that I understand we all have health conditions. We don't have to live very long before we have things that start falling apart or we have weaknesses in our physical health. It happens. I'm not guaranteeing you that all of that will get 100% better. I just know that in my life, things have gotten better when the things that were within my control, I took charge of those and made sure that I made the best priorities for my health. So when I thought about my why, I thought about my goals, I decided what did I hope my best would look like. Your list might be different, but here's some of my best outcome. I wanted rehabbing injured and inflamed body parts. I started this journey with the doctor saying I had a failed shoulder, and now I can move my arm in every direction. That happened because of patience and rehabbing it. I want to be the strongest, fittest version of myself as possible. I want to reduce the intensity and number of health conditions and medications that I take. I want to look my best. Sure, that's part of it. I want to become vital and vibrant. I just turned 60 in December, and I feel like this decade could be a really good decade. So it doesn't have to mean that as we're aging, that things get worse. We can be vital and vibrant. I want to have fewer injuries and illnesses so I can endure a full and fulfilling speaking schedule or other things that I might find that I'm able to do with ministry. And I want to enjoy that healthy body, soul, and spirit that comes with getting to do those ministry opportunities. So my priorities are for God's glory and for others' good. And I'm one of those others. It's for my good too. Here's what doesn't work as you look at your why. Having a temporary goal, such as an upcoming event, that will work for the temporary. You might look great for that event, but when it's over, a lot of times you give yourself a break that lasts way too long and you don't get back on plan. And you really need to have the choices that last for a lifetime. Also, don't just do it because someone else is doing it, because what happens if they quit doing it? Will you quit too? So that's not a good way to look at things. And don't feel guilted or shamed into this. Do this because it's your own personal decision to do this. And it is for God's glory. After I addressed my issues and dreamed up my well-being goals, I decided on action steps I'd need to take in order to get to my best self. If you're fighting overwhelm, your plan might need to focus on just one thing at a time. In this chapter, I share what my plan is, and in the back of the book, I give a place for you to have your own care plan. Your plan will be different. So here's some homework for you. Make a what is my why list. What is your why for well-being? And maybe divide that out into body, soul, and spirit. Think through the struggles you've had this week. Go ahead and acknowledge them. Brainstorm ways to prevent them or overcome them from moving so you can move forward. I wonder how many of you set goals for the new year, and we are already partway through January. Are you finding that those goals are already starting to fall apart? And how can you shore them up a little bit better? Create that initial well-being plan. That's going to help you a lot. Maybe have some markers of how you know that you're on the right path. For me, that had to do with my A1C number because I'm diabetic. It had to do with some other statuses to do with my vitals. So think through what your plan is because of what your goals are. Here's a little health check for you. Your body, what physical symptom or ailment would you like to see improve? And it might be pain, it might be fatigue, you might want to get better sleep. Think about that. What is your body's goal for this week? Your soul, what does my inner being require to be excited about beginning this plan? That's the hard part. When I ask someone if they're ready, they say sometimes their first prayer is, make me willing to be willing, because that mindset just isn't there yet. So ask your soul, are you ready? Are you ready for this new plan? And then spirit, how will I connect with God through this process? Don't leave God out of your well-being process, because it is one of the ways we get to worship him. And so how will he connect with you during this time? Remind yourself, this is a quest, not a quick fix. It's going to take a while. It took a while to get to this shape, and it's going to take a while to get into a healthier mindset or a healthier physical well-being. And I'm on the journey with you. So connect with me. If you want to be a part of my Wellbeing Warriors group, I have room for a few more women in that group. If you just want to write me a note and ask prayer for something, I want to be on the journey with you. I'm excited to start January in this way. And let's just see what we can do together. And most important, let's just see how we can glorify God. I will talk with you next time. Bye-bye.